the last two larger companies that I started and we ran and successfully sort of got out of, Ryan was our lead UI UX designer on both of the projects. He is a badass. But and as we were in these startup atmospheres, fighting for survival in the free market of capitalism, Ryan, because, we've been friends for a long time, way longer than before that, we talked and he saw all the struggles that you go through when you're trying to lead a startup and be successful. And one of the main ones that I'm sure I bitched about him about 150 times was how difficult it is to find good employees, good people,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times did I bitch about that?
I mean, I'm sure I joined in on bitching about it as well, because damn, it was a harsh realization whenever I found out that there's just not many good people to choose from out there. It's absolutely crazy.
And this is a side of the bargaining table in the employment marketplace that the left just is totally blind to. They think it's totally one-sided on the side of the employer, and the employer has all the power, and the employees, the wage laborers, have no power, and they're just weak and exploited, when in fact it might be actually a little bit the other way. Like it may be not 50-50, but it might be at least a little bit the other way. And what made me want to talk about this and mention this and give you guys like advice on this if you're looking for a job is, man, like I know two other entrepreneurs right now, and in the past 1 week, one was over at the house and he had a phone call with somebody that he was trying to find a new person to hire, a new person to contract, to get as a contractor. And I overheard him talking on the phone, and he's like, look, man, I don't need somebody that's already trained. I don't need an expert. I don't even need somebody that knows what they're doing. All I need is somebody with half a brain that can show up on time. Like, please, God, that's all I need. If you give me that, I can work with it. I'll trade him. I'll whatever. Like, just give me somebody that has a light behind their eyes and that gives a shit. That's all you need to not only get a job that you need these days, but like to quickly get yanked up the ranks. I had, what were you about to say?
No, the two most common problems that I found in these startups was communication is absolutely just a staggering issue that you're going to face. And this is in any company. It gets worse with larger corporations with a lot of departments, stuff like that. But it even is a huge problem in startups as well. Communication this does not happen. You got to pull that shit out of people. Mm-hmm. That's number one. And number two, you already said it, but people giving a shit. A majority of people will just literally not give a shit about what they're doing. And it's weird because you think that people would want to have some sort of a purpose and what they're doing for 8 hours a day, at least, it's just not the case. It's not the case.
Yeah. And then like the next day, my neighbor was over, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's got like a remodeling company, does painting and stuff like that. And he was on the phone as well, talking about, look, I just need a guy that's not an idiot, that won't steal from my customers and will show up on time. Like, it was almost the same words that I heard coming from two different entrepreneurs. And I felt that pain too. And then to sort of reinforce the lesson, yesterday I talked to a friend of mine who is like, he's wicked smart, and he gives a shit, and he shows up on time. He's got a work ethic, and he cares. And it's not like, and he is getting yanked up into promotions almost against his consent. Like, he's doing so much. He's happy with what he's doing. He almost doesn't want to go higher or take on more responsibility. He likes the responsibility and the work that he already has. But he is one of the only people around that gives a shit, is not an idiot, and is responsible enough to trust. And so he's just getting like yanked. the supply and demand is so lopsided for those simple qualities that they're just pulling him up and begging him to take on more responsibility. So the lesson is, like, that's what employers want. This is like right out of Atlas Shrugged. For anybody that's read Atlas Shrugged, it's right out of, like, when society's falling apart, all Dagny Taggart is looking for is these qualities in an employee. Somebody that cares, that takes initiative, that looks for new responsibilities and solves problems. This is what the world is begging for right now.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the main problems in the book, was that people didn't give a shit. They were complacent. And that can lead to some huge issues, for sure.
So, I mean, that's the tip, guys. Like, you can succeed in almost any industry right now if you just teach yourself to become one of those people. And this goes back to something I was tweeting about, which is a lesson from the Stoics, which is, you are that which you repeatedly do. Excellence is a habit. And so that means, like, looking at your day every day, planning your day properly, taking your agenda seriously, not just sort of floating through life, letting things happen to you, but actually, studying, being conscious, planning your day, laying out your objectives, checking off those boxes and getting shit done and caring. That's how you become one of these people. That's how you create these habits that make you not only indispensable, but people will beg you to work for them. If you can just embody these, it's like the bare minimum you'd think. Yeah. And I don't know if is this like a new thing? Like, society is like degrading to the point where this stuff is rare, or has it always been like this, where most people are just kind of like float along and, just kind of do the bare minimum to keep that paycheck coming in? I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, of course, that's a generalization, but I would say that it's quite a few people that have that issue. We experienced it where people just literally want to come in, do an 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever, and get out. People didn't even take the time to understand what the company was doing. They literally just wanted the extent of their knowledge to be what they needed to do to get their specific task done, and then get the hell out. Yeah.
It's sad. It's so sad. The employer is at the mercy of the employees that he can find in the marketplace, and it is not easy. Once you find a good person, that's the other thing. Once you find one of these good people, it's almost impossible to keep them long term, because they're they burn so brightly that everyone is begging them to come work for them instead. Man,
there's a lot of other opportunities that present themselves to those type of people.
What's up, ANCAP? Good to see you. He wants everybody to thumb up the stream. Please thumb up the stream. All right. So that kind of... Go ahead.
Yeah, one issue that I started finding later on was that people, like, for us, if you're lying to us, that's a big fucking problem for us. If we find out you're lying to us, man, you're gonna have a hard fucking time trying to get us to meet you halfway on anything, And I found that people were constantly lying about what they could do on their resumes. And whenever we hired that person, they couldn't do the job that we hired them to do, because we thought that they could do all these things they were saying on the resume, and they couldn't do it. It was incredible how many people were lying. They always say that the first impression is the most important. And whenever you find out that they just blatantly lied to your face and the first impression, dude, it was over. It's absolutely over for those people.
There's also just like a total lack of motivation to do anything that you're not immediately ordered and like nanny followed, like micromanaged to do. Like, there's no self-starting, there's no drive to take something and run with it, to take a responsibility on and just run with it and own it. Yeah, and so we were, in the companies that we were doing, we had a large offshore development team, and that was an entire culture that almost embodied some of these problems. I won't mention the I guess the country specifically, but it was like very prevalent. Remember we had like at one time, I think it was like 150, 175 offshore developers at one point. And there was one guy, and you know who I'm talking about. You remember who I'm talking about because he was such a rare person that had a light on behind his eyes. He gave a shit. He was like driven to succeed. He didn't just take direction and then stop and sit on his hands the moment he had a question and didn't quite know what to do, and just kind of wait for you to notice that he hadn't done anything to come and ask and find out, hey, where's this work that we asked you to do? Oh, I had a question a week ago, so I was, just waiting to get an answer on it. Well, you didn't tell me that you stopped working. Anyway.
Yeah.
This
and he was interested in learning more and getting better.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? Like that guy, we yanked him up. Just like I was saying, we pulled him up as fast as we could to be involved in as many things as we could and have as much responsibility, more responsibility than he could handle, pretty much.
We almost tried to freaking kidnap him and bring him to America, but he wouldn't come. Yes. But man, we almost went to that extent to try and get him closer to us.
Yes. Like it would have been a $10,000, $20,000 expensive process to get him, visa and into the country, and that would have almost been worth it. That's how rare employees are. So be that kind of employee. It'll be awesome.